Okay, let's talk about a word that, gets thrown around a lot but is often kind of misunderstood. That word is sin. Now, you might think of it as just breaking the rules, but the biblical view, it's so much deeper than that. It's really, at its core, all about our relationship with God, with our Creator. So that leads us to the big question, right? What actually is sin according to the Bible? If we really want to get to the heart of it, we've got to look past those simple, surface-level definitions that we're all probably used to hearing. And you can see that difference so clearly right here. On one hand, you've got the common view, which is pretty much sin is doing bad things. Just a list of stuff you shouldn't do. But the biblical view, wow, it's on a whole other level. It says sin is a matter of the heart, a fundamental, deep-seated rebellion against God himself.
So, that's our first big idea. We've got to move beyond thinking about sin as just some kind of cosmic checklist of do's and don'ts.
And here's the absolute key to understanding this. It's not really about what we do. It's about our relationship with our Creator. It's about our fundamental orientation, how we relate to the one who made us. And honestly, this idea is the bedrock for everything else we're about to dig into. Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to start right where the Bible starts, with God as our Creator. Seriously, understanding sin, it all begins with understanding who He is and then who we are in relation to Him. And this breaks it down into three, pillars. It's perfect. First, as our Creator, God has authority over us. That just makes sense, right? Second, as His creation, we are loved by Him. And third, as our Creator, He has a purpose for us. So you've got authority, love, and purpose. Remember those three. They're going to be super important. So keeping those three pillars in mind, authority, love, and purpose, we get to a really solid foundational definition of sin. Sin is basically a rebellion against all three of those things. It's living your life as if God just wasn't there, as if we were our own creators. Okay, so if sin is rebellion, then what's the opposite? What does obedience, or what the Bible calls righteousness, actually look like? Well, what's amazing is that the Bible boils down all of God's laws into one single core idea. And here it is, the greatest commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. See, this isn't just another rule on a list. It's the whole shebang. It's the perfect summary of God's authority, His love, and His purpose for us. This is what it looks like to live in a right relationship with our Creator. So when you boil it all down, what is sin? At its absolute core, it's a failure to love. A failure to love God and a failure to love our neighbor. Seriously, you can trace every single broken rule, every act of rebellion, right back to one of those two things. But, and this is a big but, this is where things get really, really interesting. There's a catch. There's this central tension, this paradox, really, in the whole biblical story when it comes to this command to love. And this one short verse totally lays out that paradox. We love because He first loved us. Did you catch that? It's saying that our ability to love, it doesn't start with us. It's not something we gen up on our own. It's a response. We can only love because God loved us first. And man, that simple idea, it changes absolutely everything. And we need to be really specific about the kind of love we're talking about here. This isn't just, human affection or feeling good about someone. The Bible uses a special word for it, agape love. This is God's kind of love. It's this completely selfless, sacrificial love that just gives and forgives, no strings attached. And that is why when we try to do this on our own, even our best efforts, they just fall short. This quote from Isaiah is, wow, it's so powerful. All our righteous acts are like filthy rags. What it's saying is that the goodness we try to produce ourselves, when you hold it up next to God's perfect standard of agape love, it's just not enough. It's completely inadequate. The Apostle Paul really hammers this point home later on. He says it flat out, there is no one righteous, not even one, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So, do you feel that tension building? We're commanded to have this perfect, selfless love, but we're completely incapable of producing it on our own. So, what do? What's the solution? Well, the solution isn't to just grit our teeth and try harder. Nope. It's found in a complete shift in our perspective. The answer is, and has to be, Christ-centered. And here it is. This is the resolution to that whole paradox. We can't produce agape love. We can only respond to it after we've received it. See, true biblical love isn't some prize you earn or an achievement you unlock. It's a transformation, a change that happens inside you when you first truly receive God's love for you. Just look at the difference here. The love we try to create from our own effort, it's always, deep down, a little bit self-centered, isn't it? And it always falls short. But love that's a response to Christ's love, that's a whole different game. It becomes Christ-centered. It becomes sacrificial. It's a love that forgives because we've been forgiven. It's a love that loves because we are so loved. This verse just says it all. Christ's love compels us. Get that? It's not our willpower that gets us there. It's His love, this overwhelming, transforming love that compels us. It motivates us from the inside out. It becomes the engine that drives us, not the finish line we're trying to cross. All right, so let's pull all these threads together now for one final, super clear takeaway. With this deeper relational understanding, we can actually redefine both sin and righteousness. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. What's sin? It's breaking God's law by ignoring His authority, His love, and His purpose for us. And what's righteousness? Well, it's not just not sinning. It's actively keeping God's law by loving Him and our neighbor, but, and this is the key, as a response to His love for us. So, let's recap what we've seen. First, sin is way more than just a list of bad deeds. It's a rebellion deep in the heart. It's a rejection of God's authority, His love, and His purpose. And because of that, true righteousness, truly loving God and others, isn't something we can just create out of thin air. It can only be a response to the love we first get from God. And that really leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? What would actually change in your life, in my life, in our motivations, our relationships, if we stopped trying to earn love and started living a life that simply responds to a love we've already been given? And that brings us right back to where we started, to that central, beautiful theme. We love because He first loved us. You know, that's not just a nice verse. It is the absolute key to the entire biblical understanding of sin and righteousness. It's the beginning of the story, and it's the end of the story. The reason we can love, in the end, is simply, profoundly, because He loved us first.